rejections, you have to kind of look at it through that lens. And when BlackRock comes and they apply and they have a track record of like 500 approvals for every 100 rejection, you kind of like the assumption has to be there that they're going to approve it just because, again, history suggests that they will. So when you look at this situation, you're looking, again, a regulator that doesn't want to approve any of this type of instrument. And so they're looking for reasons to reject it. Now, the rejection itself was actually quite weak. To the extent that the Wall Street Journal reporting is true, essentially what they said was, hey, tell us what the exchange is. Give us more details on the surveillance agreement. So that's not necessarily like, oh, no, this isn't allowed. That's like, hey, we want more details. So I think it's great. I think it's actually very funny, and I'm quite curious to see how this plays out, because I think that the SEC is in large part trapped, where they'll have to either acknowledge that they just don't want to do this, which they have not yet been willing to do, or on the other side, they'll grant it to someone like BlackRock, and then kind of all the concerns that come along with it happen. So I think it's great, and I'm really into it. What do you think? What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Same point with the delay here was kind of odd, because normally there's that 75-day comment period where they have to like take it in, digest it, and then they can issue something. And historically, we've seen them drag it out to the end there, and then they reject it. And that's why it's taken so long historically to have these ETFs go through, right? So when we had the BlackRock one go through, we had multiple others also file, Fidelity being the latest one, right? That was a big news item last week, and it was confirmed yesterday. This issue seems to be around the surveillance agreement, according to the Wall Street Journal reporting. And I think that ties back into these market structures where Bitcoin exists on top of, right? So if you think about Coinbase or Binance or Huobi or OKX, the market makers for these markets are typically firms that tie in and start working on the back end and providing liquidity for market to trade. Sometimes, however, these exchanges do that themselves. That was a big thing with the Binance SEC lawsuit that came out the other day, was that an entity that is owned by Binance's CEO, CZ, is market making on top of Binance. And I don't think the SEC likes that. I don't think a lot of people like that in traditional exchanges where your market maker is also owned by the exchange, right? They might think that that's unfair. And so I think that is maybe what the SEC wants here, is more information about who's creating this market, where the surveillance is coming from. My understanding is that Coinbase is the one providing this information on behalf of NASDAQ, and that seems to be it. I think they want more information to be able to move this forward. Zach?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I saw Jen's hand, so I want to get her on the record. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I just wanted to say on the flip side of the coin, this atypical situation, Adam and Will, that you brought up could be good that the SEC has responded so quickly. I mean, asset managers now have time to respond to these comments and refile. Previously, it's taken so many days. The entire process takes more than 200 days. And so I think that this atypical situation could mean that there is some change, could mean that there's some flexibility, and could mean that they're willing to work with those that are filing these ETFs. So I don't see it as a total negative sign just yet. And it looks like the market doesn't either. I mean, Bitcoin dipped just below 30K, but it's back up. It's been there for weeks since we've learned about the filing of BlackRock's ETF. And so I'm waiting to see on what's going to happen with this one. Zach?
I'm kind of with you on that, Jen. I think that my gut would sort of be along those lines as well, right? Like BlackRock, I think, is the largest ETF issuer in the world, right? They know the process. And this seems to be part of the engagement process with the SEC, potentially in terms of getting this thing over the line. But it really does boil down to the surveillance sharing agreement, as many have pointed out, with the BlackRock application and others. All right, let's change gears. Let's talk about Celsius. Remember them, the bankrupt crypto lender Celsius? We have a little